So, picture this. I get home from a long day, dragging myself through the usual city noise. There's honking, chatter, that one guy who always insists on singing Broadway tunes at the bus stop, and I'm just craving some peace. I open the door to our apartment, expecting my usual sanctuary, but instead, everything's different. I stopped dead in the hallway. The living room was unrecognizable. The couch was pushed to the wall where the bookshelf used to be. The coffee table was now next to the window, and the TV, it was somehow upside down on the stand. Or at least, it looked that way until I realized the stand had been rotated. Honestly, I might have thought I'd walked into the wrong place if it wasn't for that damn note taped right on the door frame. It said, simply and ominously, "We need to talk." Now, me being me, I'm instantly flashing through every awkward conversation I've had in the past week. Like that time I accidentally overheard Jamie complaining about the landlord's weird rules, or when someone tagged me in that questionable meme on social media. Hey, but no, I couldn't place it. I stepped further inside, eyes scanning for Alex. Because yeah, Alex pretty much lives here. Some days, I suspect he doesn't even have a place to call his own anymore. The door to his room was shut tight, so it was either a strategic move or he was hiding. Suddenly, from the kitchen table, I spotted a brown package. Plain, no markings, but it had my name on it. Weird, right? I don't order stuff online often, and certainly not anything that deserves a mysterious note plus home rearrangement. There was this weird twinge in my gut, the kind you get when something's just a little off. Like maybe my personal space wasn't, purely mine anymore. I called out, "Alex, you here?" But silence. The only reply was the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. I picked up the package, half expecting it to beep or explode or at least pop open like some spy gadget. Nada. Just a box. And the note still hanging there like a warning. I sat down on the newly shifted couch and, honestly, it felt less like home and more like a setup for some strange conversation I didn't sign up for. That night, lying on the couch that wasn't where it should be, I kept glancing at the package. Who sends a package and a note like that, I wondered. Was this some kind of joke? A prank? Or maybe Alex had stumbled upon something he thought I needed to know. Whatever it was, I knew one thing for sure. My apartment was about to get a lot less predictable. Living with Alex was, well, it was like having a live-in detective with a side of unintentional stand-up comedy. The guy had this uncanny ability to show up just when I figured I had a couple hours of solo Netflix binging ahead of me, only to find him perched on the armrest, grinning like he knew some secret I didn't. Most days, it was harmless enough. Like last Tuesday morning when I found my cereal box turned inside out, and not just because someone was hungry. Nope. Alex had left a little sticky note inside that said, "Hey, you've been eating the generic stuff. Taste test challenge? Thanks? I appreciate the gesture, but the fact that he was rifling through my groceries left me wondering how many other small, personal things he'd been poking into without telling me. His charm was the thing that made it all manageable. He'd flash that crooked smile, raise an eyebrow as if to say, "Relax, I'm just looking out for you." But sometimes, and I'm not proud to admit this, I caught myself wishing for a little peace, a little privacy. Like your personal space is kind of sacred when you're juggling work and awkward social interactions, right? Then there were those weird little incidents, like the time I came home to find my mail spread out on the kitchen counter. Letters, bills, even that unopened invitation to Jamie's birthday party, which, frankly, I had been avoiding. Alex had left a message scrawled across the top of the pile. "Figured you forgot to RSVP. Spoiler alert, Jamie's throwing a killer party." I wasn't sure if I was more annoyed or impressed. But what really rubbed me the wrong way was when Alex casually dropped something into conversation that I never shared with him. This was 2 days before the note appeared and the room rearrangement episode. We were in the living room, me scrolling through my phone, and Alex just blurts out, "Hey, about that fight you had with Casey last week, maybe don't bring it up at work." Heated stuff, huh? I stopped mid-scroll, blinked at him like he sprouted a second head. "Wait, how do you know about that?" He shrugged, leaning back like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Oh, you're super loud when you're mad, plus the thin walls don't help." That was when the weird feeling really settled in. The creeping suspicion that Alex wasn't just nosy, but somehow knew details I hadn't shared with a soul. Of course I confronted him, or tried to. The conversation went something like this. "So, Alex, about the fight. You heard it? I thought it was private." "Yeah, dude, sorry. Didn't mean to eavesdrop. Just caught a bit by accident," he said, looking genuinely sheepish, though I swear he smirked a little. But why bring it up? That felt invasive. Come on, man, you act like I'm some kind of spy. Just trying to look out for you. Figured if you're stressed about it, might as well warn you about office drama. I left it at that, mostly because arguing with Alex was like trying to stop a river with your hands. Not effective. That argument, that tiny slip-up, planted a seed of doubt that only grew with every odd interaction. Like the fact that he knew Jamie's travel dates without me telling him, or how he casually mentioned that my laptop's background photo was from my trip to Portland, something I'd never shown him. The apartment wasn't just a place to crash anymore. Alex's constant blur between friend and intruder made it feel like living under a microscope. So yeah, when I found the living room flipped upside down in that cryptic note, I couldn't help but wonder, how much does Alex really know? And, more importantly, what was he planning with that mysterious package? With the tension hanging heavier than my mismatched socks on laundry day, I realized my daily life was about to get messier, tangled up in this weird dance of friendship, privacy, and all the stuff I thought only I should see. I wasn't exactly thrilled to come home and discover my personal space felt more like an open book. Well, an open book that Alex had dog-eared, highlighted, and possibly photocopied. After the living room rearrangement and the cryptic "we need to talk" note, things only got weirder and, honestly, a bit invasive. One morning, I woke up to find my bedroom door slightly ajar. Now, I'm usually pretty fastidious about closing doors, especially since my privacy alarms are set to maximum after sharing a bathroom with Alex for, 2 years? So that tiny crack felt like a flashing neon sign that somebody had been snooping. Curiosity got the better of me and I peeked in. On my desk, I spotted a little sticky note stuck to my journal. It said, "Read your thoughts, bro, but don't worry, your secrets are safe, probably." Signed with a doodle of a winking smiley face. That was Alex, all right. I wasn't sure if I felt more violated or amused. I mean, who slides a note like that instead of just knocking? And even worse, how many other notes did I miss that revealed Alex's latest stalking spree? Later that day, as I was heating up some leftover pasta, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jenny, the girl I'd briefly mentioned once, maybe 3 months ago, and definitely hadn't shared my phone number with. The text said, "Hey, random question, but your roommate mentioned you might be interested in this panel discussion next week. Thought I'd pass it along." I stared at my screen in disbelief. I didn't even know Alex had spoken to Jenny. That evening, I confronted him while we were watching some half-interesting documentary about escape rooms. "So, how are you chatting up Jenny? Did you hack my phone or something?" Alex shrugged, grinning like he'd just pulled off the best prank of the century. "No hacking. I might have mentioned you in passing because, look, I know things can get rough and maybe I just wanted you to get out more." His eyes twinkled with that weird mix of earnestness and mischief. I laughed, though it was bitter in the back of my throat. "Look, man, I appreciate the thought, but you can't just reach out to people I barely talk about without asking me first." "It's weird." He rubbed the back of his neck like a kid caught sneaking cookies. "Okay, fair. Maybe that was a bit much. But you gotta admit, I'm just trying to be helpful." Sort of. Helpful was a funny word to use when you're essentially turning your roommate's life into a drama series without the commercial breaks. The next day, I found the kitchen table covered in little clippings, screenshots of my social media posts, notes on my calendar, even an envelope with receipts from places I had visited recently. Each was labeled with his inimitable handwriting, "just in case you forget." When I questioned him about this one, Alex gave me one of those unexpected moments of sincerity I'd been desperately waiting for. "Look, man, I know I crossed the line. A lot. But last week, when you got that weird voicemail from that spammy-sounding number, I was worried someone was trying to mess with you. So I checked it out, didn't want you to get screwed." I gawked at him, part amused, part exasperated. "Why didn't you just tell me?" he sighed, rubbing his eyes. "I didn't want you to freak out or think I was turning into some creep. It's just that sometimes I feel like if I don't jump in, no one else will." For a second, the apartment felt smaller, but not from the invasion. It felt smaller because what I had thought was just annoying nosiness was maybe Alex's awkward way of caring. Still, the line between help and harassment was painfully thin, like walking a tightrope while balancing a tray of spaghetti, and it left me wondering what kind of roommate I really had. The conversation ended with no absolute resolution, just a mutual, uncomfortable truce of silent acknowledgement. But one question lingered, twisting in my gut. If trust is broken, can the cracks ever be repaired? Or are some walls meant to stay locked tight even from the people under your own roof? After that tense room of sticky notes, screenshots, and awkward truths, I found myself at a crossroads. It wasn't like I suddenly woke up and decided to become the poster child for privacy boundaries or anything, but I realized something had to change. Not just for me, but for this strange ecosystem we built in the apartment. One night, after a particularly long day juggling work emails and dodging traffic like an unwilling participant in some endless city marathon, I asked Alex to sit down with me. He was perched on the couch, scrolling through his phone, but looked up when I called him over. I could tell he was half expecting another rant, but I tried to keep it light, even half joking at times, maybe to soften the blow. I started, fiddling with a throw pillow that he'd definitely rearranged, about the whole "we need to talk" thing, and by that I mean everything that's been going on. I paused, trying to choose my words without sounding like I was issuing a ceasefire briefing. Alex cracked his usual lopsided grin but nodded like, I'm ready, shoot. I took a deep breath. Look, I get that you're trying to be helpful. And honestly, sometimes it's pretty impressive, like when you passed that info about the spam calls so I didn't have to deal with it. That's actually thoughtful. But dude, you cross into creepy territory more often than not. He chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck that very same way I've caught him doing after he's been called out. Yeah, I know. I'm like a detective that doesn't know when to stop. I continued, what I need is some clear-cut boundaries. Like, knock before you read my journal sticky notes? Maybe don't rearrange my entire living room unless you give me a heads up. And please, ask before you contact people from my secret files. Alex rolled his eyes dramatically, but I caught a flicker of relief. Fair. That stuff got way out of hand. I guess I just got carried away because, well, I care, all right? Sometimes I worry about you like my little brother or something. There it was. The soft undercurrent beneath all the chaos, Alex's own awkward way of trying to watch out for me. I laughed, shaking my head. You're a terrible little brother, but I appreciate the sentiment. He smirked. Terrible, but well-intentioned. That's me. From that night on, things didn't magically become perfect privacy bliss. Nope. Alex is still the same charm machine with the nose that forever twitches toward my personal affairs. But now, there's a new unspoken agreement. When I feel my space shrinking, I can call it out without fear of igniting an all-out war. And Alex? He's learned to pull back just enough to be a friend without feeling like a private investigator dealing with a confidential case. The whole experience reshaped how I think about trust and friendship. It turns out, sometimes people show they care in ways that make you want to pull a blanket over your head and hide. But maybe that's part of the messy, imperfect nature of living with someone. You get invaded, annoyed, and occasionally surprised by a kindness that's buried in their eccentric way of being. So, yeah, would I recommend having a roommate who blurs the line between a caring guardian and a nosy Parker? Honestly, I'm still figuring that out. It's like living in a constant state of, is this a heartwarming gesture or a future sitcom plot? But somewhere in that chaos, there's an odd comfort I didn't expect. Now, I'm curious. What about you? If your roommate crossed the line between friendly and freaky, would you set firm boundaries or just roll with the weirdness? Because, trust me, sometimes your personal space becomes less a fortress and more an open-air market of unsolicited care. And somehow you just have to decide if that's a deal breaker or the start of a really strange friendship.